Hello and welcome. You are having a wonderful day and ready to start talking about our current topic for the day, which is protecting your digital online life. There's lots of names for it: ID protection, ID security, cyber security, and of course, they all could be defined by the various different things that we do in our lives. So we'll give everybody a couple more minutes to shuffle, not a couple minutes, but a few more seconds to shuffle in. We'll get started right on time. So thanks again for joining us. Again, if you have attended any of our live webinars in the past, hopefully you have enjoyed them, and that's why you're back. But we do try to be interactive and not just try to kill you with a bunch of PowerPoint slides, even though we do use our slides to keep me, who likes to follow the rabbit hole sometimes, into different tangents on track. So let's go ahead and get started. As always, feel free to post your questions as we go, as long as they're not too overwhelming and relevant to what I'm talking on at the minute. I like to answer them as we go, and I feel like it makes it a little bit more interactive. But you can hold them to the end. But again, when I ask for questions at the end, I can't sit here forever waiting for them to come in. So do try to put them in there so they don't miss your chance. If you're watching this per chance on demand later on, feel free to still put your questions in. They come through to me and my staff, and we absolutely try to get back to you very fast, either with a video message or with an email. So your questions will still get answered. So as always, when I'm doing these presentations, since we are a financial company and for our clients, we do give them advice, we have to put our disclosures on here. I do make these presentations to be very up to date, usually the week before, up into updating them the day before, so they are as relevant and current as possible. But again, I don't have a huge staff to fact check everything, even though I absolutely believe that the information is accurate and hopefully reliable. Please look stuff up and double check your professionals, whether it be financial or investment or tax or legal, before making any decisions, to make sure that things are right. And even if they're right, that they fit your situation personally, because everybody's different. Okay. So what are we going to cover today? So we're going to cover a comprehensive framework of what to do, what not to do. I'm going to work some stories in here as well too, to kind of illustrate the point, because we as human beings, we absolutely love stories. It's how we relate to each other, the world, and it is enjoyable for us. I'm going to go over some practical tools and things you can use as well too. Some of them are things that I use personally. Some of them are the things you have to use, like the credit bureaus or what. So there's only 3 of them. There's not a lot of choice or substitutes per se. And they hold your information and some of the power of being able to do things with your information. How can you protect your family and work together as a team if you have a family yet? And then again, like I said, real world applications, because I don't want this to be just a learning thing. I want you to be able to actually walk away with actionable things that you can do already. If you are pretty savvy at this, maybe some of this or a lot of it will be validation for you, and that's great. But even just picking up a couple things extra is super, because I've always explained this to people like that old analogy that you could probably use for lots of different things. But when you really think at the speed of technology and how things are progressing and what, so if the NSA or the Chinese government or somebody wanted to get you, they can probably get you, right? But you can be hard to get to where it's not worth hardly anybody's time to go after you, because there's so many other easier targets. So that analogy I was telling you about is, if you're going through the woods with your friends and a bear attacks you, you don't have to run faster than the bear. You just have to run faster than your slowest friend, right? And so hopefully these things that I'm going to show you are going to make you not the slowest person out there when people are trying to hack and steal stuff. You're just going to be too hard of a target. Doesn't mean it's impossible. It just means that it's not worth it, right? Okay, so we think about these things when we're going through this. And again, I've seen some more people show up. Throw your questions in as we go, and I'll try to hit them. But kind of looking at this triangle of things. So obviously, this is kind of what you're trying to protect. the top of the triangle is your identity. And I was at a conference. It was actually multiple years ago where we were talking about security and cybersecurity, and even some of the business aspects of those things, along with privacy, et cetera. And one of the speakers really hit me, and I hope most security firms are onto this now, and most of you probably deep down kind of understand it if you've seen the headlines, is, the bad guys, they've got your stuff. There's been so many breaches. Even the dang credit bureaus have been breached, and so somewhere where someone has gotten your stuff. And so it's not a lot of times about keeping the bad guys from getting your stuff anymore. It's about not letting them do anything bad to you with it. Okay. So yes, all these things that we have, our social security numbers, our date of birth, our account numbers, our credit profiles, et cetera, this is what we're trying to protect. And if we go that step further to what I was talking about, we're also trying to protect our access to the things that allows them to unlock doors with that information. And we'll kind of get to that. And so accounts, one of your most important ones, even though I think a lot of people don't take it seriously, is their email. Your main email, if somebody can get positive control of that, can take over so many other things because they can switch passwords, et cetera. And we're going to talk about some of these things and what so. But a lot of times accounts, people just think, oh, my bank account or my investment account. But other accounts, your online stuff, there's a lot of value there to you, and sometimes economically beyond that as well. And then your devices. So your devices are your doorway to these things, and they generally have a lot more information on them than just using a different computer connected to the internet, as well as sometimes people will use them to have their passwords saved onto them, or they may use them for part of their two-step verification where they think they're stronger. But if somebody was to get a hold of that, then they're getting some of the keys to the kingdom there. Okay. So we're going to look at this case study real fast. And I've asked Paul's helping me here to put the links. So most of these actually have online where if you want to read about it a little bit more, you can, but they're just stories. And again, we like stories. A lot of them aren't too in-depth because then we wouldn't even enjoy reading it, but they're real. Okay. So this one was basically, and I'm sure a lot of you use Venmo or some other payment app like PayPal or something like that. But this person was just having a problem on their Venmo, and they saw that there was some kind of error or transaction was wrong. And so they're like, well, I need to call them. And Venmo is pretty famous for just not having the greatest customer service, right? And so they went online to try to find the customer service number, and they found one, and they called it, and it looked like a great site that really looked like Venmo. They called it. The person on the phone acted very professional, was ready for them because that's exactly why they made the site. And they said, oh, yes, we can fix this for you. Tell us the problem. And they're like, okay, I'm going to send you a link, and you're going to download this app, and then it's going to be able to fix it. Well, what they were doing is kind of Trojan horse getting in behind them, get them behind their security to actually get an app on there that could do other things to them, right? And so through this app, this person lost $8,000 out of their account. So the app combined with that person on the phone trusting the other person, they were able to get $8,000 from them. And a lot of times you're not going to be able to get this money back. So whenever you transfer something to someone like this, or you wire someone money from a bank or what, so generally once it's out, is gone. Okay. And so this person did this to themselves. And so let me see here. I'm sorry. Let me share the screen here. That might be the problem. All right. So my apologies here. So I did not get the screen sharing. Thanks for letting me know that. These were just the things we went through, which was my disclosure, the outline, and then that personal security triangle gets us up to the case study where we were. And so if you listen to me and thought about that story and how you use your Venmo or what so all the time, you could see how you could probably fall victim to that as well too. If that website really kind of fished with the PH, really well, made that fake website just like Venmo's, and you saw the customer service number and Google wasn't giving it to you because, again, it's hard to get customer service from those big tech companies and some of the finance companies. Like if you try to call, you're going to call Google and get support. Come on, unless you're a big business client. No, you're not. Are you going to call Amazon and get support there? Sometimes, they will help you. They're one of the few that do, but generally you're not. And so you find a place that has this number, you call it, the person's being very helpful. You called them, that scammer didn't call you, right? You could fall into a trap like this. And maybe this was someone, that is a small merchant that, makes, $60,000 a year off their website of selling stuff, right? And so this scammer just got $8,000 out of them, trying to help them get their money back, right? So, okay, let's see here. It looks like we've got a couple questions. Let me try to hit them real fast. Let's see. It says, what bank accounts are safer? Saving option. So most banks, if they're legit banks, are safe, right? It's generally how we treat it, and that's what we're going to get into. How you are treating your information, how you're making passwords, how you are protecting your devices, how you are setting up that second factor authentication, that 2FA. And we're even going to talk about how, the phone 2FA is not nearly as strong as it used to be. And if you're setting these things up well, then you're probably, like I said, the bear story, not going to get hacked. And if the bank gets hacked somehow or whatever, then you're going to be protected, by, their kind of personal guarantee. And then generally a lot of them will have insurance that protects them beyond that. And then, of course, the government stands behind banks if something horrible was to happen and they could fail, at least in the United States and in a lot of other developed countries. So in that respect, definitely the safer ones are going to be the FDIC type of accounts, which you can find in the United States. So continuing to move on. So definitely this is very important now because there's tons of money. There are tons of money to be made. Okay. And, over, 30 or 40% of Americans just in 2024 were targeted by digital fraud. And this is going to ramp up. I don't know if I can't imagine it, you're not, are utilizing AI to make your life better, to research things. We had a really good webinar a few weeks back, if you watch that, to see how you can use it to help your finances out and what so. It was a two-part one. We had to do it in two because it was just kind of long, and we try to keep these to an hour. But it's helping these criminals as well too to be able to do this faster, better, trick you better, figure out things that you'll fall for more. Even be able to research and pretend that they're different people, pretend to be you to other people, and so it's only going to get worse before it gets better unless we as a people are kind of being very vigilant and being hard to trick and get, okay? Because it is so easy to want to fall into, this is so convenient, it's so easy, everything's taken care of, my app just opens when it sees my face. It's so convenient, but the more convenient it is for you to a certain degree, the easier it can be for someone to get you. So you got to be careful of that. So again, let's look at kind of the top 5 ways that people are getting you or other people today so that you can be aware of them if you're not already. I got another question that says, what is the safest way to share info with business or trust partners? So it depends on what you're doing, right? Because that's a very broad question, because you could be, sharing business documents, or you could be sharing a password, or you could be sharing access to your entire Google Drive or folder that's got sensitive information in it. You could be forwarding something from a client to someone else, right? So what are you doing, right? I would say you need to know that how you're sharing it is secure. If you don't know, you should find out, okay? You shouldn't just trust to be like, I think someone told me one time that our emails are encrypted if I just email it. So if you don't know that, don't be emailing, yours or a client's or a customer's, protected information that could compromise them. If you are the one doing it and you're not sure, then ask the person. So if you're the customer of the business partner and they asked you for some statement or whatsoever, you can email or call them and be like, hey, is this all right if I just reply to your email and send it back to you? There are some companies, we do this. If you get an email from our employees, at least the ones that work with customers and whatso, then any email we send is automatically encrypted. And if you reply back to one of ours, it's encrypted as well. If you just send me an email, it's not encrypted, right? If you just send me a new one, it's not, because it hasn't gone through kind of our server and our protection. But you may not know that, but we'll have clients that ask us, like, how do I get this? Is like, you can do this, or you can log into your portal. If you log into a portal that's encrypted and then upload something, you're generally going to be okay. But you need to ask them, like, hey, is this encrypted? If I log in and upload this, and generally you want it to be 256-bit. That is, like, for financial information or things that could hurt you, that's the level it needs to be at, not just the 128, even though for most purposes that's probably just fine. So I would say, ask, find out, make sure it's good. But generally, being behind a portal or it being encrypted and you knowing that you are taking the appropriate measures to protect your passwords and your access so that somebody else can't get into there as you, then you're going to be all right. Okay, let's get back to these threat vectors in a sophisticated speak. So phishing attacks. So we've been getting these for years now. It's where people will email you or SMS you, and they try to act like they are someone you trust or work with or what so. So just like the Venmo thing, except they kind of fish themselves by just going to a fake site without actually, someone throwing the hook in the water. They just jumped into someone's bucket, basically. So you might get an email from Chase, saying, hey, you've been compromised. We need you to click this and log into your account. And when you click that link, it takes you to like a fake Chase site that really looks like their login page. Then you log in. Guess what? You just gave them your username and password when you do that. They can also install malware. So you text somebody and they are giving you a story, about, your accountant needs this and you need to install this so you can communicate about it. You install it, and then it gets inside your security and it can do stuff inside your phone or your computer, to where it can send back information to them that it's stolen or watched you do things with. Okay. So phishing attacks are a big problem, and there's just so many of them. And so I would say the biggest thing about this is just don't trust people. Don't trust stuff. It sucks. I wish we could. The world would be a better place if we could just trust people. But it's kind of like that old thing of like trust but verify, and just be skeptical. If Chase texts you and says this is urgent, then you have to do this or you're going to lose this or that. Just say, hey, I'm blocking this text. I'm calling my personal banker, and we'll just see if that's. And I'll make sure that I take care of this. Don't text me anymore. And then that way you actually call the branch that and most of the time when you do that, they'll be like, no, there's nothing wrong. We didn't do anything. There you go. Do not take the bait from the email or the text. Maybe it's legit, but you can absolutely go over it. We see this a lot now with brokerages and even like the crypto stuff. So somebody will text you saying, oh, somebody's trying to break into your Coinbase, from Asia. You need to click this and change your password. Like, oh my God, don't do stuff like that. Especially if you got something there that's any decent amount. You can lose a lot of money real fast, irrevocably. Weak or stolen passwords. I really hope this is more of a thing in the past. But for goodness sake, don't be using short passwords. If your password is less than 15 characters long, and if it's a password that you use on multiple sites, that's crazy. You're crazy. Stop doing it. And I'm going to show you some solutions to this. Stolen passwords, you got to expect, even if you had these from 10 or 15 years ago, you need to go back and change them, man. Like, go back and change these passwords. They have been probably stolen, okay? You don't necessarily have to change your usernames and stuff. Might be a good idea, just to mix it up if there's something you use forever, just so they can't even try to just like brute force, try stuff that they have from your past, or that they, stole from your social media sites, and they're putting it together in different permutations with these smart computers and what so. They could try a crap ton of passwords real fast And that's why I said, I mean, really passwords now should be, over 20 characters long, with upper, lowercase numbers and special characters randomly generated. Even a randomly generated 14 or 15 character password now, I think, can be brute forced in less than a few days. And again, I don't think most people are gonna, or most organizations or whoever is gonna spend that much time and resources to do that. But absolutely, they could, and absolutely the government can probably do that. So don't be that slow person to get eaten by the bear. Make good, strong passwords. SIM swapping, this is an important one for you to realize. Whenever it says you need to set up two-step verification, you're like, well, I did that on all my stuff's safe. If you did that with just your phone where it texts you a number, that's not the safest thing. They can transfer your phone number or impersonate it, by stealing your SIM and setting it up and getting those 2FAs. Again, they gotta figure out it's worth it to them to spend this much resources and time to do this, but it's doable. Okay. And so you need to combine these things together. I almost like like 3-step, to where you get an app on your phone that you can't get into it unless it's on your phone, and you've done your biometric to get into it, and you knew the password from another device. Then you get in there and get a code, then you put it into there. Now you're talking in terms of strength. And then, we'll talk about a few other things too, about how you can wipe your phone remotely as soon as you were to lose it or whatever the case. So it would really be difficult for them to do anything to your phone. Public Wi-Fi, stop using the airport Wi-Fi or the restaurant. Don't do it. Don't type in your password or passwords in public generally, because there's cameras that can record you, and most people don't set them up well, and people can hack into them and look at stuff. So again, you think these are like over the top sci-fi show type things, but it's not necessarily, right? Just don't do these things. You pay the extra for a hotspot, or whatever the case, because generally when you're on the internet on your phone that you pay for, it's encrypted and it's just you, just like a VPN. Most people setting up VPNs to get on public Wi-Fi's and stuff, they don't have the sophistication to do it, or if they are doing it, they may have done it wrong. You just don't know. I mean, if you're really sophisticated and you trust it, you can do stuff like that. But for most people, just don't do it. And as I mentioned before, AI impersonation is coming around, and this is a real big problem in the financial world. Is like, why do people get hacked? I mean, there's a lot of smart people out there. I mean, there's a lot of people that have gone to college, sometimes advanced degrees, and they get got just as much almost as anyone else. And it's not that I'm too smart. When you really think about it, humans, we always think that we're awesome and the bad stuff just happens to other people, or unfortunate. Like when something bad happens to me, it's because of all this stuff out there external. When bad stuff happens to other people, it's because they're a moron, or they're not smart, or they don't know. So stop thinking like that. I mean, it's a normal thing. It gives you, higher self-esteem and what so. But do not have this overconfidence bias, to think that you are too smart. That stuff's going to happen to someone else. It absolutely can happen to you. And if you're not thinking about these things, it will happen to you eventually. It's just a matter of time. They don't necessarily have a routine. They just think they're smart. It's not going to happen to me. So you need to think about what is your actual plan and your routine and how you're taking care of things and what you do that makes it strong. And then a lot of people blindly trust things. That's why these companies spend millions of dollars a year to build their brands, so that you'll just trust their brand and pay them extra for it. And it works pretty good, right? So you put these things together, it makes it ripe for people to get hacked or what so. And so this is a simple thing you could do to increase your security. Like right now, everybody should be using some kind of password manager, okay? And I'm going to go through 3 of them. You can choose what you want. There's other there's plenty of other options out there. I kind of gave you kind of the bigger, more used ones. We use LastPass as an enterprise, and I've used it for a long time. Nothing's perfect. They'll all have their own problems, but again, if you're kind of using the very strong system of combining it, with 2-factor authentication and the apps and what so, even if they have problems, you still be protected. So what these password managers or apps do is they will help you to create and store your passwords, okay? And then you have to have a master password that unlocks them. And so that's why some of these have names like 1Password, LastPass. This is the last password you'll ever need, right? It's your 1Password unlocks the thing to do all the other ones. And then you have it like on your computer, you have it on your phone, so even like when I do stuff on here, I try to get all of my staff and so you never have to type it in front of people. So I can log in with this. It's going to come up on my phone, get to there, and then it's going to make me do my face thing. I had to unlock the phone, then it does a face thing for me, then I approve it on my phone, it does another biometric thing again. Now I'm in. And so then I need to replace a password, say, like I said, I want it to be that 22 long, totally random. I could copy it. If I'm on a site, generally it'll pre-fill it for me, and then boom, it's into there, and I could save it into here, and then it will pre-fill it for me. It's a little bit of a pain in the butt if you got to like type it in on like, say on your TV or something where you got to do it like one little click at a time, or you got to get into your Xbox account or something like that where you got to type it in on a computer console. But again, at least you're safe. And it's all here. It's very convenient once you get it set up and you get in a groove. You can securely share things with certain people without them even being able to see what the password is. It's very nice. Okay. So with this, if you get it at first, it's a little bit of a pain to change over and to get used to it, to change your routine, right? And so at first you need to go to all of your sites basically and change your passwords. Because you probably got that 12 long password that's some derivative of one that you've used on like 100 different sites. So every one of those needs replaced with a good strong password like this, and everyone is different for every different site, right? Okay. And so even if one of your passwords was compromised because somebody had a hack or so, they can't get into anything else. Okay. And if you ever hear about that, we're going to give a slide about this. You just go and change your email password like right away, because hopefully you've got some good, second factor authentication on your email, so that even if they have the password and they were super fast, they still couldn't get in. But don't even give the ground. Don't give the ground. You hear about a hack like on LastPass. It's happened, right? With all the second factor authentication we have and corporate control, didn't affect us at all. But again, we still go change all our passwords, and then whatever they had is irrelevant anyways. Okay. It is a little bit of a pain, as I mentioned, but now you're going to be super secure with randomized, long, awesome passwords that are unique to every different website that you have. Okay. You just, exponentially increased your security here. Okay. So let's keep moving on. Oh, wait, I did want to show you. So just so I don't like to just like plug one. I like LastPass, use it for a long time. All of them kind of have their weaknesses and strengths and so. It's a real good service. 1Password is also a really strong provider as well too. They're very similar in how they work. You can check out the pricing. A lot of them will have free. I know LastPass has a free tier. Or they did at one point, but they're really affordable. I mean, if you've ever known anyone that's been hacked or and how long it took them to get their stuff back and how much pain they went through, especially if they did get, paying these little teeny things, even though they add up, I know, to save you that hassle for almost forever if you use it well, is good. Yes, yeah, they have a free, you see down there, but if these have just a lot more features, which are absolutely worth it. Okay. And then, didn't I put this here? Oh, yeah. There you go. So then I don't know that 1Password has a free. But again, different people like them for different reasons. So just see which one works for you. I know the Bitwarden is one of the more affordable ones for personal. You can see it has a free tier, and then even their premium is only $1 a month or just $10 for the whole year. Right. So the other ones might be a little bit more robust, but man, just upgrade into this. If you are just using the same password over and over again, or got some Excel on your computer, or God forbid, you're writing them down in a book that you put in your purse, come on, you need to upgrade to something like this. Okay. So we'll look at another story here. This one is about a bank impersonation. So obviously my AI made a picture of this girl. In the actual story, it's a dude, Russell, from Texas. But who cares? It looks good still, right? But basically, he was just a good saver. He didn't make a ton of money, and he was a young teacher and just got married, and they were saving up for buying a house and starting a family. And scammers called and texted him and told him that he'd been, he's at risk, that scammers had his account information and this and that. They were very sophisticated, knew all of his account numbers, his information, were even able to produce a statement that looked like his statement. So he believed that that's who they were, and convinced him that he needed to move the money over to the new account that they had created for him that was secure. And when he did that, he lost $32,000. I think he got about $2,000 of it back. But again, when you do it yourself to move that money over in certain ways, these type of things are not protected. Like if the bank gets scammed and your money gets gone. If you do it, it's your fault. Okay. If they do it to the bank, then you have that kind of insurance protection or what so. And so they can absolutely do this. We've had multiple of our clients that have gotten into different scams. Not quite this one. I think one of our advisors actually, their wife almost started to go down this path before she realized and said, I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to call the bank. Good idea. Okay. So again, these things happen and they get smart people. I mean, this is a person with a master's degree that's a teacher, right? That's 30 some years old. Like there's no mental decline or anything like that. They're very responsible in terms of what they're doing with their life and finances. So again, if you have any questions, pop them in here. I think I've got Paul put in like some of the links just in here as offers. So if you click on that, it's just got the links you can click if you wanted to go to it and see it yourself. Okay, so let's move on to two-factor authentication here. And so very important thing, because if you're not doing any kind of two-factor authentication, shame on you. You need to do it for everything. I know it's inconvenient, but once you get used to it and it's just the normal way of doing business, it is what it is. And you should actually be skeptical and offended if someone won't do second factor authentication. It means they really don't care about your information, or possibly it's just not an important service that who cares if someone gets your information. I don't think anybody should really be like that right now, but because it's not that hard to do these things. But still, I want people to change their mind about it. Okay. It's not an inconvenience. It is an important thing that everyone should do. Okay. And so, as I said before, even though it's kind of the third thing over here, your SMS verification where they text you a code, that should really be your like last resort thing. Okay. Because it is possible now for people to SIM swap or, intercept your messages. And so if they were to steal your thing and they were to easily be able to have access to be able to do this, then it's a very easy way to take over and get into things. Okay. Now, if you're using authenticator apps, then they're not going to be able to restore this app on whatever phone they have, regardless if they have your number, to be able to restore all the different codes for the different services that you have. Okay. So for example, a lot of people use the Google Authenticator, right? The way that'll work a lot of time is you say, just generate me a code. It'll put up a QR code in the Google Authenticator. You just push the little plus button there and it will just pop up and say, you want to save this? Or you say yes. And then every time when you log in that it doesn't recognize you or per the rules, it'll say, give me the code. And you put in the code and there you go. Okay. And maybe it'll last for 2 weeks, 30 days or whatever, before it asks you again. But those are great to have. Now, again, for convenience type thing, make sure you back it up. So if you do get a new phone, that you can restore your authenticator codes to your new phone, but you got to jump through some hoops to do it. And remember, it's for a good reason, because you don't want to get got. Or people, the bad guys, to be able to download this to their phone. Some other ones people will use be like the Authy or the Norton's got one that a lot of people will use. I've got a whole thing on my phone. I'll show you of just security apps. So the different ones I use: Authy, Authenticator, ESET, VIP Access. That's the LastPass Authenticator. Check that. Do not disturb here. Then I've got some for my brokerage accounts. Duo, that's the one that some of the government agencies like to use. Other investment accounts, Authenticator for Salesforce, Authenticator for Microsoft. So there are lots of them that you can use, and a lot of those other ones will let you use other sites with those QR codes. And as long as it's a bigger company that's invested in cybersecurity, those are really good things to use because they're investing a lot to make sure that they don't want to be the security app that gets hacked. Right? You're seeing these more now. They've been around for a long time, but I don't think a lot of us regular people have used them. But you'll see sometimes now you'll have, where your Microsoft Windows pops up and says, wants to make a security key. You can have a USB like this one showing that goes into there. Some people will keep their crypto on actual physical devices that you have to plug in and then put a password on a specific computer. There are other securities that you can build into there, but actually having this physical thing on top of you having your phone, on top of you having the password, username and password, you see how you're putting those multiple layers there. So again, it's not impossible, if 007 or Mission Impossible wants to come get you, chop off your finger, steal your hardware key, crack into your phone. It's not impossible, but come on. Is it really worth the effort for most of us mere mortals out there? Probably not. These people want easy prey when they're working from Asia or Russia. They're not going to be over here, etc. And so you are just way too hard to get a hold of. So again, at a minimum, make sure you're using a password manager with those unique, strong passwords. Use the Authenticator app. If this is your only resort, it's better than nothing, but it should not be your main thing. And just be okay with it. Things are going to evolve over time, and there's going to be more new stuff. And hopefully it gets better in terms of where there's two types of biometrics, like your thumbprint, an iris scan, and a face scan, and you don't even need passwords anymore. I don't know. I think we are going to get there, right? But just bear with it as it goes, and it's going to protect you, because losing control of these things and really having someone go after you and steal your stuff or your identity and open stuff and run stuff up, and they continue to do it for a long time, it is just very frustrating. So credit freezes and identity monitoring. So as I mentioned before, we've got our credit bureaus, right? So you've got Experian, you've got TransUnion, and you've got Equifax. And I would tell you, someone told me this a long time ago, and I've been telling my clients for a long time to do this, that you should have a login to every one of these. You need to claim your credit. Okay, you need to claim that, hey, this is my credit score, part of my identity, and it's mine, and I'm going to prove it to you, and then I have positive control over this account. Because I've heard horror stories of where somebody gets their identity stolen by someone sophisticated, then they come and claim these things, and it is so hard to get them off. I mean, if they get into your email, claim the credit stuff, they look more like you than you do. Okay, so you should already have access to the credit bureau as your credit score, your social security number. This is mine. I already have access to it. Nobody else can come in and sign up for it because I already have. You sign up for these, and then once you do, you have the ability to lock or freeze your credit. So most people will freeze, and that's what that slide was talking about. And you can sign up for these things for free. Just be careful, because a lot of them try to get you to sign up for all these stupid extra stuff that's actually pretty expensive. I don't say that the protections that they have and services are necessarily stupid. They just charge too much for them because they've already got all the information. They're just trying to upsell it. So even if you wanted to sign up for this, if you click this button right here, it's going to ask you to sign up for a money one, right? That's not what you're trying to do here. You're just trying to claim your credit. Just go to the login thing and say, I don't have an account. I'm allowed to do a free one, and sign up for the free one. And with the free one, you can look up your credit score and credit report they do once per month. I think by law, they have to give you a credit report once per year for free. They don't have to give you a score, but they have to give you your report for free every year. And so just for the free one, you get it. I think they're just being nicer about it because every time I log in, they try to get me to upgrade. And so they're just like, oh, a certain amount of people over time are going to upgrade. So they do more than what they have to do. But again, you should have access to be able to log into all three of these things. And then you can do what it's talking about here, which is to freeze your credit. So if you really feel that you're secure, nothing's ever happened to you, etc., you don't necessarily need to do this. There's not a problem. And if you have some of the other services I'm going to talk about, or you sign up for any of these where they have credit monitoring, if anybody tries to apply or do anything, you're going to get alert, maybe multiple alerts real fast that something's going on. Did you apply for this? And you're like, oh yeah, I did. I did apply for that Lowe's card because I'm renovating my deck and they were going to give me 18 months savings cash, whatever. That's cool. Oh, did you buy 3 phones at T-Mobile? Like, no, I did not. That actually happened to me. Somebody did that. And that's why I lock my credit now. And so when you freeze your credit, then basically whenever somebody wants to open something, those credit companies that are going to lend the money to get a phone or, Lowe's or whatever, they're going to hit usually one of the credit bureaus. And if your credit's frozen, it'll just bounce off. So they can't figure out, is this person even worth lending to? Or are they a dirtbag and just don't pay their bills? Or are they somebody that's paid their bills on time for 25 years and doesn't use a lot of credit? And it's like, cool, I can earn some interest off of them for hardly any risk. But when it hits and it bounces, they're like, sorry, we can't do it. Or they'll straight up, if they know what's going on, say, hey, can you just unfreeze your credit for a second? And a lot of times you could just get on your phone real fast and unfreeze it. Then they can hit it. And then it's called a thaw usually. And you can thaw it, they hit it, then it goes right back on. And you can get your stuff and not just even have to worry about that somebody already did it, but you caught it fast. Okay. So freezing's cool, especially if you've had some kind of breach or somebody's tried to do something to you before. It just stops them from being able to open new stuff in your name just because they have your information. Okay. And again, at a minimum, at least claim your credits. Okay. Have logins to these that are yours, that are associated with your credit reports so that somebody else can't claim them. Okay. Question we had, what's the best way to protect kids or elderly family members from compromising data? So some of it is just like this. They need educated, just like I'm educating you. Now, some of it will be too sophisticated or above them, but just to start to realize what the things are, that they should be looking out for, and to impart that knowledge to them and the responsibility. It's all of our responsibilities with this. And if we learn it over time, even if we're older, right? It's hard sometimes, like, I hate technology and this and this and that. But it's just like, hey, this is the world that we live in, and we like a lot of the things that technology gives us. Even if you're older, you probably like your iPhone and being able to FaceTime with your grandkids and, be able to, order something on Amazon that'll show up the next day. We got to deal with the other side of things too, so that you don't get got. Beyond that, I'm going to show you a couple like online safety things later. One of the ones that we provide for our clients is called Get Careful. And it does some monitoring beyond just the ID monitoring and what's so to look for fraud and to look for forgotten bills and missed payments, etc. I will go over that. So, make sure you're keeping your devices up. If there's a computer you hardly ever use, that you're probably not going to use, and you've got another one, like, you probably don't need it. It's not going to be up to date. And if you do decide to get on there and your software is out of date by like a year and a half, and you jump onto the internet and get some kind of malware and you log on to your bank because you needed to do this, there could be some kind of malware that steals your keystrokes to where now they got access to your bank possibly. Keep your stuff up to date. I mean, if they says there's a Windows update it. Don't do it later. Update it. Every day. Don't wait till the end of the month or the end of the week. It's just update your stuff all the time, because it's like a race now. And the bad guys are trying to stay ahead and come up with new things and find ways to get in to a vulnerability in Windows or your Mac or whatever the case. And those companies are in the other side of the race to always stay in front, to block, 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 block. And if you're not keeping up with the work that they're doing, you are just getting slower and slower and slower for the bear. So keep your updates up. Make sure you have antivirus protection. And to me, this is such the double-edged sword, because half the industry is so legit and absolutely needed, and the other half is so scammy and trying to rip people off, right? So like my favorite antivirus is ESET. They've just always been good to me. They're very affordable. They don't put any like spamware on your computer. They almost never come with the new computers and stuff. So it's like I got to uninstall Norton or McAfee. McAfee is the worst. Maybe not the worst, but the one that aggravates me the most. Whenever I'm setting up computers or helping other people, it's all already on there. It's asking for all this crap and trying to get you to buy more crap. And I'm just like, oh my God, uninstall, install ESET for 1/10 the price. It's way less resource heavy. And it's just always been a good thing. But you need to have this. And when you have things like this, like an endpoint protection and antivirus, then use it. You can see mine down here. You can open it, see that it's all up to date and everything. And even when you look at files, let me see here. I could just say I downloaded this thing right here. I could say, with my ESET, I could say, hey, can you scan this and just check it? And it's like, hey, I scanned it. There's nothing wrong with it. And they're updating their database multiple times a day for any types of sophisticated scams and viruses and what's so. But if you have a good thing like that and you're just not sure about what you're doing, then check it. I mean, don't download something that's just crazy. You don't know what it is and you don't even know to trust the place it came from. But if it's like something you need and your bank told you need to download this extra thing to be able to run this little movie thing that's inside their portal, but then when you download it, you're just like, man, this has got a weird name and it's an executable or MSI file or what, something that could be bad. You could check it, but it came from a reliable source. It's probably okay, but you've just got another layer to go through. Plus, when you downloaded it, a lot of times, if it thinks it's malicious, it will tell you up here and just be like, boom, I quarantined this. Don't be opening that. Right? This is another thing people fail at all the time. Network security. Okay. So you need to set up your network right. I know a lot of people don't understand a lot about their routers and their internet service, and they probably just had the guy from, WOW or AT&T or Spectrum just set up all their stuff. But you got to at least know the basics. You got to know how to log in, to the main thing, whether it's the address. It's like 192.168.0.1 is usually your router thing. And if you were to just type that in up here, you will go to the login screen for it. And you should have the username and password for that. I would recommend using the LastPass to generate the password so that it's strong, so that somebody else can't log into it if they were to just plug into one of your ports. And then you need to set up your own Wi-Fi protection on there with your own password. And then if you want other people to be able to get onto there, then you set up a guest network. You should never give anybody your Wi-Fi password. This is just crazy. It's crazy. And almost everybody does it. It's like I should offer them a drink when they come in my house. Here's the Wi-Fi password. Like, this is bad practice, right? So it should be a really strong password that you can remember, but is still strong. And then you have a guest network for other people, and that would only allow them to get on your Wi-Fi on a limited matter to be able to get Wi-Fi and what's so, but they have no access to your network. And you could change that occasionally so that people couldn't even get onto there, after, say maybe once a month or once a quarter, you just change the guest one, so that, if a friend gave it to somebody, that people are getting on there. It's probably pretty safe with the guest if you have a decent router, but still, it's good. It's a good thing. Okay. And then, if you really want to be strong, I know this aggravates people, but nobody here, except for my one tech guy, and nobody at my home knows the Wi-Fi password. Don't tell people your Wi-Fi password. I've done this for decades. And if you tell one person, everybody will end up knowing it. And then if everybody knows it, then they're going to tell their friend, or they're going to tell a client, or they're going to tell a customer. It is a garbage way to do business. So basically, like what I've done here is for our main network that's really secure, nobody knows the password. There's not a guest network. Nobody's allowed to get on it. I even max screen that even if somebody tries to plug in, it just automatically blocks and quarantines their computer or device or whatever. And then I have a separate router that I use for like network of things, like smart things and what's so, and it has a guest network, but it's never with client stuff. So, I mean, I have a similar type system at home, and I know it sounds like being paranoid and wearing the tinfoil hat a little bit, but I'm telling you, these are real security vulnerabilities. And if you don't limit, like it says, unauthorized access, you're going to get got eventually, especially if you have something, you know? So it's not that hard to do these things. It's just a little bit of discipline, okay? And knowing that you need to do it. This one was from a guy that got hacked back in 2013 via Adobe breach. And, you know, a decade afterwards, he was still getting alerts and people trying to hack him from the stuff that was getting resold onto the dark web and stuff like that. And it really helped him to become a lot stronger and implement a lot of these things that we're talking about. This is probably one of the best ones if you wanted to read it. And a lot of the things that I'm telling you about that are actually into there. And you can even see here, like if you come, you know, to this, have I been pwned, you know, basically like it's an old gamer type thing, like getting owned, but like with a P. And you can put in your email address, and a lot of people use these as their usernames, right? A lot of times they don't even give you chances. So my email, and look, it's like I've been in 18 data breaches, and it even tells you which ones. You know, Advanced Auto Parts, Gemini, Epic, AT&T, Twitter. I know a lot of these. I know these because I remember when they happened. But that's crazy, right? So you don't think you have? Throw your email address in here. See what happens. How many data breaches you've already been in that they know your username and password probably, right? It'll tell you what they got. But it's a little bit eye-opening that they have this stuff. They do, okay? And so a lot of the stuff that he talks about in this are the things that I've been telling you, okay? But if something happens to you, I mentioned this earlier, you got to secure your email. As soon as you think something happens, you go to your email, like make sure it's really, you know, Google, Gmail, whatever. Look at the email, look at the address up here, straight up exactly what it should be. Log in, change your password, and then if you're using your phone, upgrade it to you know, the Google Authenticator, Authy, or something like that, and then boom, you're strong again. Even if they were to get into one of your other accounts, hopefully it's a unique password. They're not getting into anything else. They can't reset a password. You just really cut it off right at the beginning, even if they haven't even done anything to you yet. Okay, it's a little bit of a pain in the butt, but you got to do it. Protect your financial accounts. So make sure you have alerts on. And a lot of times when you're signed into the apps, having those push notifications, again, better than the text alerts. Text alerts kind of suck. It is like the new, like email has kind of gotten shut down more, right? And so they're turning to going to SMS and text more. So, you know, if you are getting alerts from your, you know, say your USAA or your Chase or your Bank of America app on your phone, and it gives you a push notification, then that's probably more trustworthy. Again, be careful. You could have some garbage apps if you have a ton of them and you don't have accountability of where they are on your phone. A lot of people do. Just download all kinds of crap and never clean it out. Then it's hard to find if you something got onto there that shouldn't have been there. So you can't 100% trust that either. Virtual cards, you can check these out, help like double authenticate you. There are even people trying to make like identity cards and what so to go along with things, and you know, online reputation type things. We'll see where these go and how well they work. But again, when you start stacking things on top of it, you are just making it harder and harder and harder. You could do login restrictions. I do this on some of our routers and stuff, you know, in terms of just saying, hey, you don't let anybody log in, you know, from outside the United States, where everybody in your company is working out of Kentucky, outside of Kentucky. You want to be really strong about it. I do this on some of our secure stuff. I know exactly what the IP address is for here. I know what it is for my home, and I have two people working remotely. I know exactly what their IP addresses are. Those are the only IP addresses that are allowed. Anything else would get rejected trying to come into working with us. You can do a lot of these things. I like this one company if you want to add an upgrade on top of your router called Firewalla. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's a cool thing. And you can actually monitor flows, get real-time alerts. It'll tell you even if your Ring camera is doing something a little funky. You can set up rules for your kids, etc. It's pretty cool. I'm going to skip this because I'm running out of time. We'll post the link to it. But this is one that mixed catfishing with bank fraud. And so older guy who was actually pretty savvy, but met someone online and then got talked into from someone he ended up trusting that, hey, this was a legit thing, that he was going to win some money and he had to pay some of the fees for this and this. And it's kind of one of those sunk costs where they get you to pay a little bit. And they're like, oh, well, now we have to do this. And you have to pay the tax on this before you can get this. And then a little bit more before the family could basically get them to stop. Right. I've actually seen that happen a couple times, being a financial advisor to other people. So don't think that these things don't happen. I mean, to people that, I respected and what so it's not just dumb people. Create a culture of this. You don't have to be paranoid to make it a bad thing. You're teaching your kids, good habits, or even your parents, even, to do the right things in a way that just builds habits that doesn't make it like such a hardship or such a bad thing. It's just like what we do. And then they never get in those bad situations and they're just going to live a better stress-free life. And there's so much stresses in life already that, cutting out more of them are just going to lead a better life. Last thing I'll mention, let me go back to the full page of this. So we provide this for our clients. I think it's for eRebel and above. It's called Careful, and Careful goes a little bit beyond. So it will do identity monitoring and credit monitoring. It has $1 million worth of identity theft protection. You can link your bank and credit card accounts, and then it uses an AI to basically watch it to make sure that nothing funky is going on. It can even tell you if you could get a discount on a service. Like I had one client told me, like, oh yeah, it told me I was paying this from Verizon and it saw that I was over this age and it said that I could get $20 less a month from a senior plan now. And so like it just helps people. If you want, you can add trusted contact. So like if you shared it with your mom and she could put you as a trusted contact into there and set the rules for it, or you could set it for her, that basically if she missed paying the mortgage, or there was something like 2 $100 gift cards were bought from Walgreens, like that's a red flag. Scammers get people, especially seniors, to buy gift cards or to go to, like crypto ATMs and give them money these ways. That is pretty untraceable and hard to get back. But you see those, you could catch it real early instead of way down the road when it's thousands and thousands of dollars. It'll even have it'll flag stuff for like another kind of scam thing, but still a lot of times legal, like where these charities will be like, hey, will you give money to this thing? They're like, oh yeah, I believe in that. And they give them $50, but then they turn it into a recurring $50 a month. And they didn't do that. They didn't sign up for that. And so it'll tell you the second time it hits, hey, did you mean to do this? And it'll give you a reputation score of how good that charity actually is, or are they a garbage organization, doing things like that, right? And so there's a lot of things in here that it does. Like I mean, like I think almost all of our employees use this as well as our clients. Another one that I've been researching that I like is this Aura. And so Aura goes a little bit beyond that. I think it's a little they're very close in price. So I think it goes from $1 million to $5 million in insurance, but also does a little bit more of adding let's go back to that pricing page because it shows all the stuff here. It'll add stuff like it has its own antivirus, VPN, password manager, helping you with some tools. You got parental controls and what's so into there. It's got 3 bureau credit monitoring. So again, you can kind of do it, for yourself, for you and your significant other, or if you got a whole family here. And so, there's a lot of good things inside of here that you can use It's almost like a comprehensive pack. So I mean, I've actually, trying to explore personally with our company to see if we want to offer this maybe to our higher level clients for free and as a paid version to our lower, because I can't pay for everything for everyone. But still, like as a financial company for our clients, we're very concerned that this is getting more conservative, and it is our job to help people take care of themselves and protect what they built, etc. So we're almost done with the presentation here. We're coming up on the hour. We are going to send you, I was working on a workbook. I didn't totally get it done, but it has a lot of the links and QR codes to a lot of the stuff that I mentioned here. But build some habits, implement some of these things, do them continually, teach your kids, teach your parents. Cyber insurance could be worth it. Mainly, this is more of a business type thing, but they do sell it to individuals. If you do have a homeowners or renters policy, you'll see a lot of them the last couple of years have been sending updates saying, hey, we're renewing your thing, but we're excluding any kind of cyber benefit or claims or anything like that, because it is becoming more and more and more. So if you do feel at higher risk or that you're not very good at this and you're not going to implement a lot of the things that I talked about, it could be right for you. Ask your advisor, etc. AI can help you. Ask it questions. A lot of stuff that I've taught you, even if you don't remember exactly what I said, if you phrase it even halfway right, it's going to bring you back around and probably suggest some of the things that I told you today. So, hire some of these services if you can afford them and you've got something to protect. A lot of them, even by just doing them and it reminding you, is kind of help you build good habits as well too. And like I said, if you lose your phone, have the thing set up on that Find My iPhone or the equivalent on the Android where you can remote wipe it. And so as soon as you do it, as soon as you know it, just wipe it. Because hopefully you have a backup you can restore on a new one you get either through your insurance or you buy another one, but you're not going to give them any access to anything if they're able to crack it. Okay. I think that pretty much does get it. What we were talking about today. Take control of those credit bureaus. Set up a password manager. Make sure you just got some of these things in your mind about what to do with your phone, what to do with your email. I will send you out that workbook as well that has all the links. Let us know if you have questions. We're more than happy to help. We do a lot of this with our clients. We're trying to build more out to our free version. We just call it freemium. But again, there's only so much I can do when it's for free. But we're trying to make it to where on the freemium version, hopefully we help people get to a place to where they can hire us. And in the interim, we're trying to leverage AI and resources and stuff to do it really low cost so we can get people on the right track and help people regardless of where you're starting from. So thanks again for joining us today. I hope to see you in the future. Sorry I went over by a couple minutes. Hope you have a wonderful rest of the week. If you're watching this on demand, still send us your questions. We will absolutely help you. So have a continuing great summer, and we'll talk to you soon or next time. Bye-bye.